Hello everybody, and just here and welcome back to Skeleton Knight in Another World, episode 10. In the previous episode, yet another mini arc was concluded. Haha, arc, get it? It's a pun because that's the name of the main character. No? Okay, that's fine. But yeah, the arc of freeing the beast folk was concluded because they did indeed free the beast folk. Some other things occurred, however, and not so much on Ark's side because, again, they just freed the beast folk. Ark had some nice bonding moment with Gori, with the big furry dude, and they set off on their merry way yet again. And that's basically it, nothing particularly out of the ordinary. On the side of the princess and on the side of the kingdom as a whole, a lot is happening, however. First of all, Prince Dakares was assassinated by his very own brother. Then we also learn that it is the brother who's apparently the mastermind behind it all, who sent some additional assassins after the princess and who schemed behind the scenes to, I don't know, I guess to be the one and only heir to the throne. It's very usual motivation, but it's also a very real and very realistic one, so it makes perfect sense. What one thing was important on Ark's side. They learned that the slaves are apparently being sold off to some theocratic country, and I believe near the end of the episode we've also seen the prince, or maybe the ruler of that very theocratic country, talking about the attempted assassination, talking about Dakares being assassinated, and talking about the rings that he, or rather his people, provided. Which means it's not as simple as just some runaway nobles in this particular country. It is an issue that spreads throughout multiple nations. The princess is smart, thankfully, and she did have the foresight of telling everybody to keep it all on the down low and not inform anybody of her having survived, because it is indeed to her benefit if nobody knows she survived. If everybody believes that she actually was assassinated, she can just walk to the elves and, talk with them without being interrupted by other bands of assassins, and this time without Ark being around. Although, let's be honest, if Princess is attacked, it will be probably near where Ark is, and Ark will save her. Again, nothing against it, but this is probably how it's going to happen. Is there anything else that was significant in the previous episode? I don't think so. I think that's it as far as significant events go. A little bit of housekeeping. You can probably see that I'm just a little bit tired, a little bit sleepy. I might be yawning here and there because it is very late, and I really should be going to sleep now, especially since I have friends over tomorrow, but I need to push it out to you guys, so I'm going to. Okay, that's it. That's really it. So, sound, subs, and support. You can support the channel on Patreon, link in the description, or by just sharing those videos around. And with that out of the way, and with those controls out of the way, we can start watching episode 10 of Gaikotsu Kishi-sama Tadaima Isekai and Odekakechuu, otherwise known as Skeleton Knight in Another World. Very short English title. And we can do that in 3, 2, 1, Go. Right, and there was mention of yet another guy and some sandworms. Sorry, wyverns, not dragons. Yeah, flying Charizards. Kinda. Holy Revlon Empire, yeah. All those wyverns are just floating. Oh, that looks bad. Oh, that genuinely looked bad. Kill them all. Or just scare them off. That's not even a superhero landing. That's just straight legs landing. Ark doesn't even need to bend his legs to land. Thunderstorm? Sure. That name makes no sense, but have it your way. He's really channeling his Eins here, isn't he? You electrocuted everybody. And there's some elves taking notes. Well, singular elves so far, but I'm assuming he's not working on his own behalf. Matcha, mint, and lime. Very interesting flavor. Bought it today. Just spotted it at a supermarket and sounds interesting, so I'm gonna grab it. Why not? I probably let it steep for just a little bit too long. It's ever so slightly bitter. But oh well, I'm used to it. Just checking on my cat. She's sleeping over there in a brand new carton box. Yeah, this is a dragon. It has 6 limbs. Those were indeed wyverns. They had 4 limbs. Okay, let's see where it's going. An oasis. Ponta turned into a Pikachu. That's a great name. Petal River. Pet Petal. Oh. She probably doesn't want to deal with a theocracy. Elves are probably treated as subhumans there or something. Yeah, exactly. In here, there's at least a semblance of protection of a treaty with the elves. An elf out in the open. I guess she's gonna try to rob him Skyrim style? Nobody seems to mind an elf here. On the contrary, is it an effect of some perception magic, or just genuinely elves aren't treated badly here? Why are you treated so well? Yeah. I mean, it is the way things should be, but it isn't how things are. So, about that. I guess he's just interested in your magic. Because of the bracelets, I'm assuming. Yeah, what do they get in return besides? Oh, I mean, isn't that something that you can just buy? Oh, I don't know the economy of this world or the cartography scene. Maybe maps are incredibly rare. I mean, they used to be back in the days. Another side quest, huh? If one is enough, then the change would literally be giving them 4 coins back. Or rather, just taking 1 coin. Are they gonna drink themselves to sleep? Or are they gonna drink themselves into shenanigans? I have a sneaking suspicion it's gonna be the latter. How is he grabbing it? You're an elf, it's almost the same thing. Probably shouldn't have shotgunned it though. Okay, what kind of a drunk is she? Is she a mean drunk? Is she an embarrassing drunk? Is she a crying drunk? And we're Shokugeki no Soma now. And she's smashed. Lend me one of your bones, please. Yeah, yeah. Just give her more and drink her under the table. Yeah, ara indeed. Jesus, the whole place is shaking. Hmm. Place is trashed. The scratches on the walls. Jesus Christ. At least you didn't wake up naked. Ark is naked, though. He doesn't have to worry about wearing clothes, now that I think about it. Even without clothes, he's just a skeleton after all. They did. Oh, things did happen. uh, just not the kind of thing that she thinks did. Okay, that's a nice little bit of humor. After an arc full of misery and slavery, we're getting an arc of adventure. Okay. There was a scene in the OP where they were driving a cart not unlike this one. No, they were in the forest, in a valley in some forest. Not a desert though, so probably not the exact scene. I'm guessing bait, rotting corpses, fish. Yeah, rotting corpses. And they're hunting a sandworm. It's a worm that lives in the sand. The toothy grin on this dude. That's a nice color. Not in this shot, but it was a nice color. Okay, not that big far as sandworms go. Don't hurt it. Yep. Those fucking floating wyverns. I can't get over how absolutely stupid they look. Did you notice something? Oh. Cue the sandworm. Yeah, that's a little bit bigger. Ariane has fire magic, yeah. But I'm guessing the sandworm is just a little bit tougher than that. Yeah. Arc? Or you can try casting flame from inside. He has a stronger flame. Or he's just gonna rip it apart. Rip it? Or suplex it? He doesn't need a sword, my dude. Why use a sword if you can suplex it? uh, if it had a spine, it would be hurting right now. And of course, there's the bracelet. You can go inside that thing. She's still mulling over humans living with elves. Yep. Why not? But you moved out and you met the good ones. Hopefully. I mean, the princess is kinda working towards it. What about Lambert? Yeah, I'm guessing all sorts of races live there in harmony. Oh. Could it be Ariane's sister? By chance? Hmm. So she's not his sex slave either. Interesting. I guess that gives Ariane a bigger scale goal. Not just freeing elven slaves, but also making sure that everybody can live in harmony. Yeah. I mean, I guess ears are made mostly of cartilage, so we can't be sure that Ark isn't actually an elf. Whomst. Oh, this dude. Ah, Fumba. Yeah, that's Fumba. Attack on the princess, on the capital, on what exactly? She's gonna throw one of them in, of course. Yep. Figures. That's 5 rings. I'm assuming whatever beast it is, 1 ring wasn't enough. 5 heads, some sort of a hydra, maybe? The snaking moving heads kind of do look like a hydra. I noticed something this episode, you know? I I have hard time bringing myself to care. Or rather, I'm finding it hard to get influenced in some way by the events of this show. I don't know, it's a weird feeling. Like Fumba, for example, right? He's supposed to be all angry, scary, intimidating, badass, but he just he's just like nothing. He does absolutely nothing to me. I don't know. I don't know why. Could be because of the production quality that took a significant nosedive. The monster taming barbarian loves in the darkness. Always remember you can drink liquor, but don't drown in it. Drink responsibly, hanging with Ponta. There we go. Let's go through this episode again, and maybe I'll be able to figure out why exactly am I having issues with being influenced by the events of this show. Yeah, I think it genuinely comes down to the production quality. I'm assuming these wyverns are supposed to be this fantastical sight, right? This scene, for example, is supposed to be all cool and intimidating and oh wow, those are actual real living wyverns and Ark is excited for them and you the viewer should also be excited, but I can't be excited for this. Some of those are even just straight out copy pasted. or flipped horizontally and copy pasted. Like, I guess they at least put enough care into it to make them flap their wings every now and then. Hmm. I get the distinct feeling that the creators of this show, they did want to make something cool, but they just started to slowly run out of money. A lot of the budget was spent near the beginning, and then with every every further episode they were told that no, there's not enough time, no, there's not enough money, no, you must finish it fast. And it's kind of a situation where they only had enough budget and enough time to give us this, but they at least put enough care into it to make them flap their wings every now and then. And they put enough care into it to not make the copy pasted wyverns flap their wings at the same time, for example. Notice that there are some copy pasted ones, like a lot of them are copy pasted. There's maybe like 4 original designs here, the rest is just copies. But the flap of their wings is always offset. They never flap their wings at the same time, so there is some modicum of care put into it. It's just. It's a well cared for, hand me down old car. Right? You don't have a budget to buy a new shiny car. You have this old one that's falling apart, but you care about it. It feels cared for, right? It's clean. Every bit of rusting was fixed. Scratches were fixed. If something was, I don't know, broken or something, it's been fixed. You can see that someone cares about that car. But it doesn't change the fact that it's an old ass fucking car. Right? I'm getting I'm getting the I'm getting that feeling here. Even more so, well, maybe not even more so, but uh, it was a similar situation with Psyhead and Opaladin, but I feel like one, Psyhead and Opaladin, maybe it had just a little bit more budget, although I'm not sure. I mentioned in some episode before that where Psyhead and Opaladin decided to go for slideshows and sliding PNGs, this show decided to go for a lot of CGI. But Psyhead and Opaladin had a distinct art style to boot. To this day, I can't really put my finger on it precisely what's so special about the art style in Psyhead and Paladin, but it is special. This, in comparison, is fairly bog standard, I guess. Hmm. And I think it kind of went over, or rather under, the line of. There's a certain line, right? Or I don't know, maybe it's like multiple axi, axes, whatever you want to call it. Uh, Essentially, production quality isn't that important up to a point, right? Production quality of Psyhead and a Paladin was fairly fucking low, but it wasn't a deal breaker because the stories and the characters and everything else in the world was so engaging. But if the quality dipped just a little bit more, it would have been a deal breaker. You know what I mean? There's that tipping point, and I feel like this show has been skirting it for a while, and now it's finally reaching it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna drop it, but even though. Are those characters interesting? That's another question. Is the world interesting? If I had to answer honestly, I don't think they are all that interesting. The world seems fairly standard. We haven't really been shown anything outstanding, anything unique. In the case of Saihat and the Paladin, there's the world that's been ravaged by war, by a huge war, and the humans are slowly but surely encroaching on the continent that belonged to them. And it's just a wilderness with ruins and with demons inhabiting it, and the humanity slowly trying to regain control. There's the whole pantheon. There's the blessings. There's multiple magic systems, right? The world is engaging. The world in Tatenoyusha is engaging because there are a lot of new ideas, right? Vassal weapons, regular weapons, jumping between worlds, a lot of questions that you have to ask, that the world itself being presented to you already raises. Those aren't questions anybody asked in particular, but you witnessing this world creates questions in your head. The same goes for Virgin Row. The same goes for pretty much most other isekais I've seen. There's something to the world. If not the world, there's something to the characters, some twist on them. Someone is interesting in some way. Death March is a very interesting case where the world and the stories are fairly standard, but the characters are interesting, mainly the main character, because he's not such a some big huge hero set off to kill the demon lord. He's just a merchant. Sure, he's hella fucking powerful for a merchant, but he is playing the role of a merchant. Are the characters presented in this show interesting and engaging? Arc is fairly standard. Honestly, you can take away the gimmick of him being a skeleton and honestly nothing really changes. He's just another overpowered isekai main character. Ariane, she's not that interesting either. Her quest isn't that interesting either. And we don't have more characters, so we can't even bank on variety. Right? If you can't have interesting characters, at least have a lot of them so that everybody can find someone to like. Or so that at least the chemistry between some of the characters is engaging. Here we have a boring arc and a boring Ariane. I was hoping that the wolf girl, whose name I've already forgotten, will eventually join us because she seemed kinda interesting, but no, she's not here. The most. And the stories. Are the stories here really that interesting? No, they aren't. There are some slaves that need to be freed. Okay, we're gonna go there and we're gonna free the slaves. And we're gonna go and we're gonna do it twice for good measure. There's something in the background, the magic rings and whatnot, but it's largely inconsequential. So far, we haven't been shown a difference between a wild animal attacking and a wild animal with a ring attacking, right? Like, the animals with rings attacking them is something that normally happens in fantasy, anime, manga, light novels. It's not out of the ordinary, so I can't bring myself to care about those rings either. And those were kinda sort of the main mystery here. Honestly, the most engaging thing here is the whole background subplot of uh, of those politics behind the scenes, the assassinations, the princess going to meet the elves and running and thinking who could have betrayed her, and the princess strive for power and selling slaves to other nations, and some other nations supplying them with rings, and those kind of machinations. That's compelling to me. The character of the princess is compelling. It's not a great sign when a secondary plot takes the cake. Now, I'm not familiar whatsoever with the source material. I haven't read it, I haven't even heard of it. Is it the same? Is the source material also the same, or does it have a lot more information? Does it raise a lot more questions? Are the characters of Ark and Ariane more interesting? Is the world more fleshed out? Are they telling better and more engaging stories? I don't know. If you're familiar with the source material and you're still watching this series, do let me know, because I'm genuinely curious. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't dislike Ark. Absolutely not. I very much like his character, but you can't tell me he's not bog standard, bland, regular anime isekai whose only gimmick is that he's a skeleton. And it's not even a gimmick that matters a lot. I don't know. I don't know. It was just a. I had to get it out of my system, I guess, because I really want to like this series, but I can't bring myself to care. I really can't. See, there are some things, some moments that hint at something interesting being there. Right? The fowls reluctant to fly because there are wyverns in the sky. That's a little bit interesting. Some ecosystem is being built here. Later, we learn that the sandworms and the wyverns are usually in the same place. That's also very interesting, and you get to wonder why. Is the sandworm feeding on the excrement of the wyverns? Or do the wyverns sometimes drop their prey, and the sandworms can feast on that? Or something is there, but it doesn't have a chance to be fully fleshed out. This was interesting to me for a while. Who's this guy observing them and taking notes? Does he belong to some secret faction who's observing irregulars? Does he know of uh, isekai people? Is he some elven sage who lived for millennia? Is he a part of a clan that's been taking note of isekai people for hundreds of years. Is he someone interesting? Turns out he's not really. I was expecting him to be like that Alva sage from Log Horizon, but he's anything but. The OP really makes you hype. That's the worst thing. The OP has some great art. The OP has some great animation. It has some great enemy designs. It's showing some cool world. Those ruins that she's running alongside of. What are those ruins? Why is she running? Who is she? What are those ruins? Was this beast? And at the same time, Ark is having fun. He's shown as a very, maybe not quite light-hearted character, but someone who takes things in stride. He's doing that extra flair of spinning around his arms and then just shooting fire in the sky and laughing maniacally. It really looks like a fun, dynamic adventure series. Crossing the Spital River, going through Fabian marshlands, sure. But see, elves are treated badly there. That's a little bit of a detail we're getting, a brand new detail that could have mattered, but it doesn't. And it even makes other things seem less, just less. Right? When there was talk of the Revlon Empire importing slaves from other countries, from the country they're in, I had those thoughts. Why? Is Revlon having trouble procuring them? Maybe in Revlon, on the surface, elves and humans are equal and they live in harmony, but they need them for some nefarious purpose, so they have to import them, or, something like that. But no, it turns out that elven slavery in Revlon is perfectly fine, so why the import? And then there's this dude in a hoodie with half-framed glasses that even have those plastic bits so they don't so they sit well on your nose. Carsey, absolute nobody. His only purpose here is to plant the seed of doubt in Ariana's mind. That maybe, just maybe, humans and elves can coexist and live together in harmony. But again, I never knew that Ariana had such a distaste for humans. I never even knew that it's an issue. That there is an issue between humans and elves. I mean, the country of elves and the country of humans signed a treaty. And it seems that it's not just one country of humans, it's multiple. But now suddenly she's having an issue with that. And he's not some mysterious elven sage, he just wants animals to study. And the reward is a map and a book. not particularly fascinating, not particularly engaging, is it? Of this is so weird. Will 5 gold coins cover our lodgings? 1 is plenty. Give me a second and I'll get your change. Why? Take the coin. Leave 4 coins on the table. Or is she trying to fetch change for that 1 gold coin? I don't know. Hmm. And I guess it's supposed to be some important moment here of Ariane mulling over the fact that maybe indeed the coexistence is possible and having issues processing that, and that's why she got drunk. And haha, cute wife wiggling her ears, and look, cute animal eating an apple. And oh, did you want some fun service? Did you want some sexual moments? Haha, with subversion, it's not. But the haha subversion, everybody thinks it is. And did you know Ark is a skeleton? And that skeletons are monsters, and so Ariane tries to kill Ark? Are you laughing yet? Oh, haha, misunderstanding. Comedy. Sorry, I'm really a negative Nancy today for some reason, but uh, I really wanted to like it, and it had such a big, good promise, but with every episode, things are just falling apart. She has a hangover, and there's a friend human, who has tea, and the tea is good, and she's no longer hangover. Maybe some humans are actually good and would want to coexist with us. Here's the sandworm, of course. If only it actually looked like this in the show. Here's the shot of the wyverns, just almost copy-pasted verbatim. Yeah, the ones that are hanging in the air are just exactly the same. I'm certain if I learn more about it during this expedition, we'll be able to prevent it from causing as many casualties in the future. Probably. If you learn its patterns, where its layers are, where it likes to be, where it doesn't like to be, when it's active, when it's not active, and so forth and so on, you will probably be able to avoid those sandworms better. Sure, that's a great idea. Big but big but fast, that can fly, that shines like metal, that can breathe fire, so dragons, yeah. And he wasn't able to complete his sentence because, oh look, a sandworm. Oh look, a big sandworm. And here's an epic fight that didn't happen. I guess the moment of Ark just actually grabbing it, pulling it out of the ground and suplexing it, that's cool. That's actually cool. I'm gonna give this episode that, absolutely. This is such a cool moment. And initially I didn't even notice that Ark was CG here, but of course he is. And there's a ring, of course. But the mystery of rings has kind of been shattered because we know what their purpose is to make the beasts rampage. We know who makes them, the Revlon Empire. We know who uses them, both the Revlon Empire and the kingdom they were in. More than sufficient, yep. And did they drag it near the city? Or what happened? Who are those people? What's going on? I don't know. And yeah, there are cool humans. Not every human is a scumbag. You might be able to live among them. Time will come when humans and elves can live hand in hand. Yeah, sure. And what do you know, in Lambert, the Lord even took an elf as his bride. Maybe it's gonna have some darker undertone, maybe not. Maybe it's genuinely a happy thing that actually happened. That'd be cool. That'd be like genuinely cool. Because that would mean the world is suddenly just a little bit more interesting, because we are witnessing a societal change of elves being more accepted by humans to the point of being taken as a bride by a lord of a country or a city or whatever, right? So I hope it's true. It's not a coercion, that she's not a slave, that they genuinely fall in love, and they'd like to work to improve relations between humans and elves. Yes, please. Please focus on that. Just a little bit of politics. Put Ark in service of the princess, for example, or the lord of Lambert, or whatever that city was called, so that they can strive for that. That'd be interesting. Individuals who make both races are numerous with their own thoughts and opinions, absolutely. And yeah, every societal change that has ever existed is not done by the collective, because the collective doesn't exist. It's a bunch of individuals. Every change that has ever happened was done by those individuals. There just has to be a critical mass of them. Ark is speaking some true words here, some actual wisdoms. And then we have this dude. Is it a hero? Is it a villain? Is it not known? Well, it's a cave. And there are pointy things. And oh, this dude is clearly anxious a little, so it's probably a big deal. This bad guy right here. And he's a bit of a rebel. He doesn't care about secrets. He knows he's the best, and so he can disregard everybody. He can disregard the Emperor if he wants. Haha, sorry about that. Sorry, not sorry. I'm gonna do as I please because I'm a badass. You wanted my help? Well, those are my terms. And here's this. Yeah, it's probably a Hydra. It's probably a Hydra. And did you know that he's a bad guy? Look, sacrifices one of his women to it. He's this bad. Don't eat too fast. Haha, funny one-liner. My face changes a lot. I'm a Doppler, you know. And haha, did you see how I disregard the life of this woman? I care more about my pet monster. Am I monstrous enough yet? Now this is genuinely a good bit of foreshadowing that it needed 5 of those rings to gain control over that monster. Also, just so we're clear, her reaction here is chef's kiss. Actually, genuinely. The absolute dread on her face. Yes. Yes. Yeah. This dude being scared, covering his mouth, averting his eyes. Those are some good expressions. Those are some good reactions. There is some good to this series. There is some good to those episodes. But it doesn't have the chance to fully shine. You know? A pity. The ED is a banger. Honestly, I think, and perhaps unpopular opinion, even like for me, they might have benefited from just making it all CG. Because they can do some cool stuff with CG. Like, you can see that they are doing some cool shit with CG. But as soon as they get to draw 2D art, it's like, eh. You can definitely see the budget missing. Or maybe if they went for a little bit of a combo like Doro Doro, where the backgrounds are 2D mostly, and the foreground action is CG. I don't know. I really don't know. See, there's a lot of care put into it. Those bits with Ponta, they really exemplify it. They're really trying to do something here. There's a plushie. They're probably selling it. You know, there's a merch. Iconic, or rather, merch that is supposed to be iconic. There's a hashtag. Let other people use it. You know, actually, out of pure curiosity, let's visit the hellhole named Twitter, and I'm gonna look up hashtag hanging with Ponta in English. Yeah, there are some posts. There are some posts with this hashtag. Not many, but there are some. Someone asks, where can they get one? I don't know. I also don't know what the general reception of this series is. I don't know. I guess I don't know just about sums it up. I even started noting down theories for the series, and I was so happy when some of them appeared. Right, some marriage plot, something more to the maid that the princess has. Revlon Empire has some sinister use for the slaves. Yuriana, the princess, wants the throne, and maybe even gets it. See, there are some threads, some plots, some plot lines that are interesting, but it seems like all of them happened at the beginning, mostly. either at the beginning or in the background. It almost seems like we're focusing on the wrong thing. Because, all in all, them freeing the Beastmen slaves was largely inconsequential. Uh, Ark helping free the elven slaves had some actual, maybe not meaning behind it, but there were some actual consequences that shook up the status quo. Ark now has money, Ark now has a companion, Ark now has a goal, he has the knowledge of what can help his curse. He's traveling with Ariane to free other elven slaves, right? A lot of things have changed. Freeing of the beast folk, we're back to status quo. That whole mini arc might not have even happened, right? Like, the only thing they got out of it is that they know some of the slaves are going to the Revlon Empire. And that's essentially it. The ninja girl didn't join them. Nobody else joined them. They didn't, I don't know, upgrade their equipment. They didn't uh, gain favor with the Guild of Merchants. Nothing really happened. They didn't even visit like a beastman village to hang out and have a party or anything. Nothing happened. Nothing became of it. Then this episode, sure, meeting the elven dude made Ariane think of what would happen if elves actually could coexist with humans, and what do you know? The elven dude has information that they are indeed coexisting. And maybe it's just Ariane that's stuck in her old thinking, and things are changing, and they're changing for the better, and she just doesn't see that. Sure, that had some consequence, but the fight with the sandworm itself, they didn't really get anything out of it. It was an episode that could have been an email. Like, literally, they could have met the elven dude in a tavern and just talked, and the outcome would be the same. The whole fight with the sandworm is just meaningless. Everything that's happening in the background, that's the only thing that's interesting. And it's kind of sort of similar to Overlord in that way, where the interesting things are not the things that are happening following the main character. Right? The most interesting bits of Overlord is not following Ainz around as he walks around Nazarick thinking of stuff and playing chess with Sebas or whatever, however he spends his time. It's getting to know the Lizardmen, how they were preparing for war and that stuff, following Sebas's adventures in the capital. Right, those were the interesting things. Those were the interesting bits. And they had Ainz in the background, and that was cool. It's similar here in that the things in the background are cool, and they have the secondary things are cool, the same as in case of Overlord, and they all have arc somewhere in the background, right? I love the moment where Ark rescued the princess, and the princess saw him, just a glimpse of him, and immediately thought, it's an angel sent here by a god. What kind of repercussions, what kind of consequences can that have? That's great, that's some great setup, and I cannot wait for the payoff. And those things in the background are interesting. Problem is, we're focusing on the non-interesting things where Ark is going from town to town doing menial side quests. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Overlord, but they're focusing on the boring stuff, not on the interesting stuff. Maybe it's just me. Maybe that's actually how it is. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. I really, really enjoyed this series near the beginning, but something happened. And it's not just production quality. Something else happened. I'm gonna have to watch it all, and I'm gonna have to read the manga, or maybe even the light novel, and I'm gonna have to compare. Maybe there's like entire chapters missing, or something. Or maybe you guys know, maybe you are familiar with the source material and you can tell me. I'm honestly kind of at a loss. All things considered, this episode did go by in a flash, honestly. I didn't not enjoy it, or whatever, however you want to say it. It was okay. It had some weak moments. It had some okay moments. I wanted to say strong moments, but okay, no. Arc suplexing the sandworm, strong moment. The emotions that the people were showing at the end, also strong moment. The villain does absolutely nothing for me. The wyverns do absolutely nothing for me. The rest is just okay. But hey, you guys, you tell me down in the comments, what did you think of this episode, of my reaction, of my theories, if I had any of my ramblings? Are you familiar with the source material? Did they really skip a lot of interesting things, or is the source material also this boring and generic and by the numbers? I don't know. Maybe it's yet to actually get started. Maybe it's just slowly, 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 spinning its wheels and starting up, and we're soon gonna get into the consequences of their actions and the answers and unpredictable things and whatnot. Maybe it's a possibility. Tell me, maybe you know, maybe you don't know. I don't know, that's for sure. Uh, what comes next in my outro. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of future releases. Not only Skeleton Knight in Another World, but also Shokei Shoujo Virgin Road, Symphogear G, Revue Starlight, Spy X Family, and Tate no Yusha no Nariagari Season 2, also known as Shield Hero Season 2. One more thing about the comments, don't spoil me anything, right? I might have a good opinion on the show, I might have a bad opinion on the show. I might be absolutely shitting on it, but I still don't want spoilers, okay? Okay, great. Did I already told you to like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve? If I did, I'm gonna tell it to you again. If I didn't, then hey, I'm saying it now. If you really like what I'm doing, you can support me on Patreon, link in the description. For $10 a month, you get early access to non-seasonal shows like Symphogear G and Revue Starlight. And what comes next season, we don't know that yet. So stay subscribed to know when I'm gonna be streaming the next season's lineup. And you can also support me without spending a dime by spreading the word. Share the word about my videos. Share them with people who want them. Share them with people who don't want them. Share them with your friends, family, everybody else. And I forgot to mention, God, I'm really sleepy. I forgot to mention that you can also support me on Patreon for just $1. Even that gives you a role on my Discord server, that gives access to a Patreon-only channel where I post some sneak peeks and bloopers and stuff like that. And it also gets you a place in the credits, like every other tier does. The credits will be rolling by very, very shortly. I think that's it. And yeah, you can join my Discord where you can talk about things. You can even talk spoilers there because Discord actually has spoiler tags, so you can use them. And now that's actually gonna be it. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers. And here is the credits. I mentioned, don't get discouraged by the $10 tier, simply nobody else subscribes for others.